What's up, you guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today, in honor of my 100th top 5 video, we're going to update my first ever top 5 video, my top 5 Iron Mans in Heroclix. So without further ado, let's get to the list. Starting us off at number 5, I have the Avengers Forever Iron Man. This dude's coming in at 200 points, but I love these, really high point fanboy dials of characters we've gotten recently. There was a Hulk in this set, we got a Spider-Man, we got freaking Moon Knight and Ghost Rider, these big 200 point versions of characters that have 3 stop clicks and, just really powerful. I love that. So I hope we get to see more characters like this going forward. But yeah, he's got improved targeting for hindering terrain. He's got an awesome trait at the beginning of your turn. You can choose one effect to last until your next turn. Either he has free half-speed move, or he has safeguard outwit. So those are both great choices, more maneuverability or just being safeguarded outwit. Depending on the situation you're in, they're both really useful. And then he's got a special attack power that gives him energy explosion and pulse wave. And when Iron Man uses pulse wave, it deals 2 damage instead of 1. And after resolutions, you may choose a character for each of Iron Man's action tokens. For each character chosen, remove one of his action tokens and give it to that character. So that's just such a powerful effect. You can just keep pulse waving everybody for 2 damage and giving them your action tokens after resolutions. So he essentially could just keep taking his token off every single turn and just keep somebody locked down with action tokens until he eventually KOs them from multiple pulse waves. So that's just such a powerful effect. But he even has energy explosion on top of that if you need to, do something a little different. And then of course on his special defense power, he's got stop, regeneration, toughness, and super senses that succeeds on a 4 through 6. So again, he's got the triple stop clicks, 8 movement running shot, 6 range double target, 18 impervious, 3 damage range combat expert, and with a 12 attack with the range combat expert and Avengers team ability, he's easily a 14 attack for his pulse wave that's giving out his action tokens and dealing 2 damage. So that's insane. The stop clicks are super useful with the 4 through 6 super senses, or you can just regen off of them potentially. And being protected outwit or being able to move half your speed every turn is also very good. So he's a lot of points, but he's still very much worth it in my opinion. One of my favorite versions of Iron Man ever. So for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have the new Legacy card Iron Man. Now, part of the reason I'm putting him at number 4 is just to be funny, because I had this same figure at number 4 last time. The actual original version of him was my number 4 5 years ago. So he just got a Legacy card, which knocked his points down a lot and updated him. But they also managed to do a good job of keeping the same kind of flavor here. He's got the same kind of trait that he had before, because his original trait was very anti-resources when they were a thing, with the Infinity Gauntlet, the utility belts, the hammers and the Phoenix Force and all that stuff. The resources were crazy. Nowadays, we have equipment all over the place. Everybody's going to be equipped with something. So he's got this adaptive armor trait that when Iron Man would take damage from an equipped character, instead he takes no damage and roll a d6 on a 1 through 3, deal Iron Man 1 unavoidable damage, protected pulse wave. So the cool thing is when he would take damage, so you can still roll for his impervious first, which, to see if you would even take damage or if it would just be reduced all the way. And after reducing, you see if there's anything left. And if he would, you could roll a d6 and he takes no damage unless you roll a 1 through 3. Then he's just dealt the 1. So yeah, he's multi-layered defenses against anybody that's equipped, which is really, really strong. And then his special attack power gives him free, choose 2 combat values. Until your next turn, he modifies the first +2 and the second -2. So I think that's a really cool effect. The actual power name, Divert Power, is just so cool. He's literally just moving his stats around. So you could -2 from your speed or your range or something to get +2 to your attack, defense, or even damage. There's nothing there that says you can't pick damage. So if you want that damage boost, you can have it. But yeah, also you have the Avengers team ability, so he's got that potential +1 attack. And then on a special damage power, you've got Leadership and Perplex, and he can use both regardless of line of fire or adjacency. Now, he only has that when he starts on the 100-point dial. But yeah, Leadership and Perplex that he can use regardless of line of fire or adjacency. Yeah, you could Leadership a token off of anybody, anywhere on the map, and that you could Perplex anybody, anywhere on the map, plus or minus. So yeah, seems pretty ridiculously strong. Personally, I prefer him at 50 points. He's super cheap. Between Perplex and Avengers TA, he'll easily have like a 12 attack. With a 4 damage penetrating blast is pretty good. And between his impervious and his trait, you know, any equipped character is going to have a really hard time dealing any actual damage to him. So yeah, I like him a lot at 50. At 100, he's still pretty good with the 8 range double target energy explosion. But yeah, 1 TK and this guy can shoot across the map pretty much almost single-handedly. His stats do go down a little, but at least you have that divert power thing to kind of help out. You could always equip him also. You know, there's nothing saying you can't equip him. Back in the day, people would just play this Iron Man with an Infinity Gauntlet, and then if you have 2 of them going against each other, they're both incredibly powerful and can't even like hurt each other at all, so it was kind of funny. But I love this Iron Man. It's such a great legacy card pick. It really keeps the feel of the character, but brings it down to a much more usable version for the modern day. So yeah, for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 4 for me. Coming in at number 3, I have the Prime Iron Man from Avengers 60th Anniversary. So this guy's got a lot going on. He's got the Avengers team ability, of course. He's got a trait which gives him leadership and willpower. And when he uses either and succeeds after resolutions, you may remove an action token from a friendly character that shares a keyword with him. So this dude does a really great job of keeping action tokens off of your whole team. You know, if he hits a leadership, then he's taking a token off of somebody, and then he can also take a token off of any friendly character that shares a keyword with him. That could be himself or somebody else across the map. And then willpower to take an action token off himself, and if he succeeds at that, again, he could take another token off himself or anybody else. So really powerful trait there to keep tokens off your team. And then you have another trait that gives him energy shield deflection, and when he makes a range attack, you can modify his attack +2, but if you do, until your next turn, he can't use energy shield deflection. So it's very similar to the legacy cards thing with diverting power. This one is switching to offense mode, which is really cool. Most of the time, you can just keep him with the energy shield deflection. You already have Avengers team ability, and top dial, he's got range combat expert, so he's already going to be like a 13 attack for 4 damage precision strike. You know, you don't really need the extra +2 most of the time. But yeah, 18 invincible with the energy shield is pretty nice. You know, running shot 5 range. Later on, he gets some steal energy and regen, so he can at least heal himself up. But the funnest thing about him is his other trait, custom suits for my teammates. At the beginning of the game, give each other friendly character an armor token. Friendly characters with an armor token have flight and vulnerability, and when this character is dealt damage, after resolutions, remove their armor token. So he gives the whole rest of your team flight and invuln until they take damage and lose the armor. I think that's so awesome, because I mean, why not give your whole team Iron Man suits, right? That's always kind of been one of my main things. Like, you know, you just have like Hawkeye and Black Widow out here. You could give them some tech upgrades, give them a little Iron Man suit or something. Same thing with Captain America. Like, all these people could use Iron Man suits. Why not give it to them? So yeah, I just love this figure. It's really fun to give your whole team suits, and he's very team friendly between that and taking tokens off of everything. He's a really solid attacker. If you need to switch to offense mode and get a 14 attack to hit somebody, you can do that. So yeah, obviously there's some better primes, but this one's really solid and is a lot of fun. So for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 3 for me. Coming in at number 2, I have the other Prime Iron Man, the newer one from Collector's Trove. This one's coming in at either 80 or 45 points. I personally prefer him at 80, but they're both fine. So starting off, he also has Avengers team ability, surprise, surprise, but he's got this awesome trait that is free once per game. Choose up to 3 characters on your sideline with the Stark Industries keyword and turn them to any click number. The chosen characters are Iron Man's prototypes. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose one of Iron Man's prototypes. Iron Man can use the standard powers displayed on that character's dial until you choose again. And then when Iron Man is KO'd, you may generate the last prototype he chose into a square Iron Man last occupied on its last non-KO click, then heal it 2 clicks. This game, that character isn't scored when KO'd. So if you pick the right click on the right Stark Industries character, you could have a bunch of extra powers. There's a lot of good options. I don't want to talk too much about all the different options, but if you just search up Stark Industries characters on like HC units or wherever you like to look at, then just look at the standard powers they have displayed. I don't want to give away any of my upcoming characters on this list, but my favorite one to put on the sideline does have a click that has Precision Strike, Super Senses, and Probability Control. So yeah, having a full dial of Prob and Super Senses is great, and having that Precision Strike on the 80-point line is also useful because he doesn't start with it, but he does have a special attack power that gives him range, make a range attack against a single target along a direct line of fire. Instead of normal damage, deal the hit character penetrating damage equal to the number of squares between them and Iron Man. So he has a 5 range. That means without any outside assistance, he can shoot somebody 5 squares away, and that means there's 4 squares in between him and the target. So if he can line up a direct shot on somebody, he could shoot them for 4 penetrating damage. And of course, you can bump his range all the way up to 8, which means there's 7 squares between you, which means he could hit somebody for 7 penetrating damage. Honestly, on paper, this seemed like a really fun effect, and I mean, it is a fun effect, but to be honest, I kind of just wish they gave him 4 damage with Penetrating Blast, because honestly, it's so much harder to set this up than it should be, because for one, you have to play on a map that's open enough to get that much space between you. For 2, it has to be a direct line of fire, meaning a straight line. You can't be at any kind of an angle unless it's a perfect diagonal. And for 3, you're also going to have to go through all the trouble of upping his range, either perplexing it up a bunch or setting up a bunch of shield team ability characters or something before you like running shot into position. So it's a lot of setup, whereas, you know, you could do a lot of that same setup and just have some enhancement instead of doing all that to up his range. And you could still up his range if you wanted to, but you didn't have to be at like a perfect diagonal. And, you know, it'd help a lot if he had some improved targeting, honestly. He doesn't have any improved targeting for, like, hindering or elevation, which would help a lot. But, yeah, so, honestly, it's a little more trouble than it's worth, but it is a lot of fun. If you do set that up and pull that off, it feels really nice to hit somebody for 7 penetrating damage from 8 squares away. But I think that's my main gripe with him. It's a really cool effect. It's really fun, but it's just kind of a hassle sometimes. And sometimes I just wish his base damage was higher and I didn't have to do all that setup. But besides that, the main thing here is his trait, which, you know, putting different things on the sideline for him to pick and choose from gives you access to a ton of different powers in addition to whatever you want to equip him with. And whichever one you chose last when he's KO'd gets to come out, so you have kind of a replacement figure. So overall, he's just a really, really fun character. I love the sculpt. You know, I love the Silver Centurion armor a lot. And even though he might not be like super meta or anything, I have had a lot of fun playing him. He's a really neat character. So for all those reasons, he's coming in at number 2. As always, before we get to my number 1 pick, I have some honorable mentions to take a look at. And again, you can go and look at my old top 5 video, and a lot of those are still relevant. I would still say they're worth, you know, checking out at least. Some good legacy card potential in some of those figures. So to start with, I have the rare non-prime version from Collector's Trove. So once again, I love that Silver Centurion armor. And this one doesn't have the Avengers keyword or team ability, which kind of sucks, but it is like the Armor Wars Iron Man. So it's really cool. It has this awesome trait that if he occupies or is adjacent to a non-debris terrain marker, opposing lines of fire can't be drawn to him, which is really strong. I think it's like super stealth. And then when Iron Man attacks one or more characters that share a keyword with him, modify his attack and damage +1. So he just has Stark Industries, Armor, and Scientist, but there are a lot of great Armor and Scientist keyword characters out there, so it's pretty easy to get that +1 attack and damage. He can also see through hindering, which is great. He's got good stats and powers there: Running Shot, Energy Explosion, Impervious, Outwit, 6 range, double target. And then on the back of his card, he has another trait that when he's KO'd, you may generate the number 23B Iron Man, so the Prime Iron Man we just took a look at number 2. You can generate him from your sideline on on his red starting line within 3 squares of your starting area. So I just love the fact that when this dude's KO'd, you know, they have to get through this whole dial, and then you still get the like 45-point line of the prime version. But it does come from your sideline, so that means you can't play any other primes on your main team, so that's kind of the only downside there. But then the prime version can still do the thing where he takes a free action to pick other things on the sideline to, you know, pick and choose powers from, and then when he's KO'd, he pulls in one of them as well. So I don't mind paying 100 points for this one when he's going to pull in 2 other Iron Mans in his place. And in fact, this guy is part of the reason that I have the other one at number 2, because you could start with this one and then go into the Prime and then another one, or you could just start with the Prime and you could go into this one if you wanted to, or there's a lot of other better choices, but still, it's a really cool thing. I just like it a lot. And he also has combat reflexes, impervious, and when he uses impervious and succeeds after resolutions, heal him 2 clicks. So anytime he hits impervious, you get to heal 2 clicks on the back half of his dial. So again, that just gives him that more survivability. Plus, you know, lines of fire can't be drawn to him if he's next to terrain markers. He's just really durable and, you know, kind of hard to target and has a lot of built-in healing and everything. So he's very hard to deal with. And then, like I said, turns into the Prime, who turns into another character. I think he's very much worth the 100 points. And honestly, I put him in honorable mentions, but you could just put him right there, number 2, alongside the Prime if you want to. Next up, I have the new Tony Stark from the Smash and Destroy set. This guy could definitely have been on the list. I really only put him on the honorable mentions because he's more Tony Stark and less Iron Man, if that makes sense. So I love the sculpt on this guy, you know, with the hologram things up in front of him is really cool. And he's got this awesome trait that when establishing theme teams, friendly characters with the scientist keyword gain the Stark Industries keyword. So keyword shenanigans are always good. And then you have friendly characters with the Stark Industries keyword reduce damage by 1 in addition to any other effects that reduce damage. So playing him with any other character on this list is really good. And any other scientist. You know, there's lots of really good scientists that have damage reducers also, and so increasing that damage reduction by 1 is just such a powerful effect. I really like that a lot, on top of the keyword shenanigans. And then he's just, you know, good team player. He's got sidestep and TK and some outwit. He's got a whopping 19 defense for almost his whole dial, with a special defense power that gives him energy shield deflection and willpower. So even if he's TKing stuff out, he could be removing his tokens with the willpower. 19 with energy shield means he's 21 from range. It's pretty nasty. But he also has power, generate a blocking terrain marker adjacent to a friendly character with the Stark Industries keyword. Until your next turn, that character can use Force Blast, Impervious, and has a minimum range of 4. So, I mean, he can generate that next to himself if he wanted to, or any other friendly character with Stark Industries keyword, but really just giving out that Impervious when you're already giving them, you know, an extra +1 damage reduction is pretty crazy. And actually the Force Blast can really come up too, especially on somebody with Pulse Wave. Being able to Pulse Wave everybody and have that Force Blast for the knockback is really strong, because everything's still turned off during the Pulse Wave for the knockback. So yeah, really awesome. And then he has got a stop click with Range Combat Expert where he suits up into Iron Man. And then he actually has some pretty great stats. Running Shot, 11 attack, penetrating blast, 3 damage. With the Range Combat Expert, he's 12 for 4. And then you have Avengers TA on top of that, so he could be 13 for 4. And, you know, 18 impervious. So I think for 60 points, he's doing a lot. He definitely could make the list. If you don't really care that he's, you know, more Tony Stark than Iron Man, then yeah, definitely I'd put him pretty high up on my list, honestly. He's really good. And it's just such a breath of fresh air to see them do something different with him. We get so many kind of generic running shot, energy explosion type Iron Mans that it's just really cool to see something that does something so unique. So I love that, and I hope we get to see more cool Tony Starks like this going forward. And last but not least over here, again, this one is only in the honorable mentions because it just felt weird. This is the Legacy Iron Man, which, you know, technically it is still just normal Iron Man in like a different suit. But that's always been my main problem with this one. It looks like a Hulkbuster war machine. It doesn't look or feel like an Iron Man so much. But it is Iron Man. It is Tony Stark. It is just a suit he randomly used like one time, and it looks awesome. But he could easily be on this list. I'm just kind of being nitpicky here. but he does have Avengers team ability. He's got traded energy shield deflection and impervious, and he can reduce penetrating damage, so that's all nuts. And then you've got the Force Blast, Leap, Climb, Sidestep combo on the back half of his dial there. And then he also has a special attack power that gives him Energy Explosion and Penetrating Psychic Blast. So that does mean that the Energy Explosion will be penetrating, or you could just single target somebody if you want to deal all your damage to them. And his special damage power is the main reason that he's here. He's got improved targeting for characters, hindering, elevation, can make range attacks while adjacent, and he also destroys blocking terrain, which is kind of the big one. He can see through everything, essentially, and he has free choose one to use until your next turn, Outwit or Range Combat Expert. So being able to outwit through everything is awesome, or just get that Range Combat Expert buff if you need it. But this dude's coming in at 120 points. He got 7 range, triple target, some sidestep, 11 attack, 18 willpower, and 4 damage. A lot of times I just like to go with the Range Combat Expert and, you know, give this guy 12 attack, 5 penetrating damage through everything. It is pretty insane. And, you know, he's got that Energy Explosion with triple target penetrating damage to deal with swarms of characters. Oh yeah, with Avengers team ability, he's actually be a 13 attack. But yeah, he's nuts. He's very powerful. Again, easily cracks the top 5 if you don't want to be picky about it like I'm being. If I were to include these characters on my list, I'll tell you right now, I would include the rare one with the Prime version to kind of count as one character and leave them at number 2. I'd probably stick Tony Stark at like number 3 and then this dude at number 4 and just have like the other Prime or the Legacy one at number 5. So that's kind of my ranking if I'm not being picky. But I could be here all day talking about Iron Man figures and all the honorable mentions I could throw at you. There's a lot of them. I like a lot of them. I'm a huge Iron Man fan. I have every single one. But let's move right along to my number 1 pick. All right, coming in at number 1, if you haven't guessed it already, is the Hall of Armor's iconic set. All 5 of them, because of course you got to play them together for them to actually be useful. Now, one big reason for me liking these so much, I'm a little bit biased because I was able to preview them before anybody else, thanks to WizKids. I did send them a few emails kind of begging to be able to preview this before anybody else, just because I'm such a huge Iron Man fan. And they were really cool about it. You know, they said since Scott Porter's not going to do it, I guess we can go ahead and let you have it. No, they were really nice about it. So I'm just so thankful that I was able to have that opportunity to preview them first. And honestly, I'll admit, when I first looked them over, I was kind of like, okay, these are really cool figures, like they're really fun, but I didn't really feel like they were that amazing. But in that time, I've found a lot of really cool combos you can do with them. I made a couple shorts about some cool combos you can do with them just by themselves. But besides that, you know, teaming them up with other characters, they can do a lot of really cool things. So I won't really go through every single one of them and what they can do. But the main thing is they all have the Shifting Focus Hall of Armor's trait. So that is free. If Iron Man began your turn on the map, replace him with another character with this trait on the same click number. If you did, after resolutions, you may generate a character with this trait from your sideline on click number 11, adjacent to the replacement character. This game, the generated character can't use this trait and isn't scored when KO'd. So the cool thing about these is every time you swap them to a different one, you can generate another one from your sideline on its click number 11. And pretty much how the click number 11s work is all of these figures have like 2 special powers, and the click number 11 is actually the only way that you get both special powers at once, but they all have the same stats, which is just 7 movement, 10 attack, 17 defense, 2 damage, and they all just have, you know, some different powers. So like the Hulkbuster looking one has Close Combat Expert and Plasticity. You know, most of them have Toughness except for the Hulkbuster one has his Special Defense power. But like one has TK, you know, one has like Empower Enhancement, one has Perplex. So, you know, you get access to all those different powers just with lesser stats. So the main thing I love to do with these now is have somebody carry them up and then take a free action to swap to a different one, and then generate one from the sideline on click number 11. And then since that one hasn't been carried or anything, it can immediately make an attack.
So that's pretty much the main strategy I do a lot now, is just do that. And, you know, just depending on the situation, which one is the best. Like the Hulkbuster one is the strongest one with the Close Combat Expert, but the Underwater one has poison, and you can always generate it and then free poison. But even the Mark 1 suit has like Perplex, and when it targets somebody with armor or robot keyword, if it's friendly, you can heal them a click. If they're opposing, you can deal them a penetrating damage. So again, that's just free damage. So I apologize, I'm not really sure how I'm going to show all cards on the screen at once. I'm kind of going to just flip through them all because I don't really want to sit here and talk about each and every one individually. But yeah, basically they're just really fun to play, and keep bringing in the ones off the sideline and keep swapping to whichever one you need at the time. They're just such a Swiss Army knife of whatever you need for any given situation. The only thing you have to be careful about is when you're bringing one in off the sideline to be on click number 11, which is what I call like the drone click. You know, it is just like a drone. It's a little weaker, and you don't then have access to it to swap into anymore. So if you're swapping into one, you want to make sure that you're going to get the value out of it as a drone, and you're not going to want to switch back into that one later. But it's also really awesome that your opponent doesn't score any points for them when they're KO'd. So even though they're super easy to KO, usually just having like 17 toughness, usually your opponent doesn't want to really waste time going for them unless they can like pulse wave the whole lot of them or something. But yeah, there's just such a fun set of figures to play. I love the shifting focus aspect. I mean, spoiler alert, the shifting focus Iron Mans from the Captain America and the Avengers set were my number one in my old Iron Man top 5 video, and still honestly some of my favorite Iron Mans to this day. So I think maybe I'm a little biased towards shifting focus Iron Mans. They're just the most fun to play, and this is just such a freaking awesome set. Oh, and by the way, the number 6 Iron Man from this set is the one I was talking about that has a click there of Precision Strike, Super Senses, and Prob. For the Prime Iron Man. That's one of my favorite ones to put on the sideline for him specifically to get access to those powers. But there's a lot of good options, especially within this same set as well. So yeah, this is just such an awesome and fun set, especially with these awesome little display pieces that it comes with in the set. This was like my favorite part of it. I wish that we could get more of these. Honestly, I wish that they sold just these alone by themselves. I would buy just a ton of them to display all my Iron Man figures on with an actual huge Hall of Armors. I hope we get another Iconics Hall of Armor set in the future, like a Volume 2 or something. They pretty much just came out with the Batcave Volume 1 set, and that means we're probably going to get a Volume 2, but I really hope we get a second volume of this. Although at this point, I doubt we'll get it soon enough that these will stay modern long enough for those ones. But, you know, who cares? They can really keep them modern as long as they want to. I don't know. I would just love to see more of these things going forward. Anyway, I just love these figures. So for all those reasons, that's why these are coming in at number 1.
Alright, you guys, that does it for this top 5 list. As always, if you enjoyed this list, don't forget to smash that like button and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. If you want to help support the channel even more, you can check the links in the description for the Patreon, where you can see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people. And for as little as $1 a month, you get entered into my monthly giveaways, so check that out if that interests you. But that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing out.